Donald Trump is now losing support not only among Democrats or independent voters unhappy with the economy. More and more often, even Republicans are turning against him, and not just his party colleagues, but his own voters, the very MAGA base that applauded his every word not so long ago. The reasons? There are several. The constant chaos in the administration, scandals, corruption, inconsistent decisions, but especially his behavior, which is less and less political and more narcissistic. The most striking example is the absurd post he published the day before, which caused a wave of discontent even among his most loyal fans. In the comments under this post, MAGA-siders directly wrote, "Because of this, we are not with you anymore." Before we get into the details, I'll remind you, you're watching the Forgotten Roads channel. Here we talk about things that others skirt around. Support us by subscribing so you don't miss the next episodes. So here goes. This scandalous post is just the tip of the iceberg. To understand why it had such an effect, we need to look deeper. It all started with the Olympics. Trump's bizarre criticism of the Olympics, and turned into a demonstrative duplicity that even his supporters have begun to shrug off. Let's get to the bottom of it. What exactly made Trump's former allies angry, and why his jokes no longer amuse anyone? Donald Trump recently mocked the performance of an Olympic athlete, a transgender champion in the women's competition. He did it in the usual manner, with sarcasm, exaggeration, and demonstrative male irony. But the problem is what many have noticed. The joke hides not a position, but a weakness. First, it was under Trump that the Department of Education actually approved the participation of transgender women in women's sports. And now he's criticizing the decision as if he had nothing to do with it. People see. Today he's laughing at something he himself enabled. Secondly, the reaction of the MAGA audience was unexpected. Instead of applause, outrage. People wrote in comments, "Stop embarrassing us. You just made things worse." Some directly stated that they no longer wanted to see him as president. Why is this important? Because it's a trick that's worked before. A joke and the crowd was on his side. Now it's silence, rejection, distance. In the age of digital transparency, even loyal audiences notice when a leader says one thing and does another, especially when it comes to topics where the public has long expected honesty, not theater. The post, which drew a barrage of criticism, was a turning point for Trump. And not because it was the rudest, it was because it came across as hollow. People are tired of posturing. They want a person, not a mask. And in that moment, Trump chose again, a mask. After a wave of criticism under his post, Trump tried to replay the situation. He began to pretend as if nothing had happened, to publish the usual slogans and return to firm rhetoric. But the problem is that the mask has already cracked, and people felt it. His supporters haven't forgotten that he was the one who supported the decisions he now criticizes. He caves to transgender athletes, but it was his administration that once lifted restrictive measures and allowed them to compete in women's disciplines. This isn't a political reversal, it's hypocrisy on live television. And here's where it gets interesting. His own constituents, the MAGA audience, the ones who used to wear red caps and shout, "Make America Great Again," start asking questions. Why did you support it then and now you condemn it? Why, when you were in power, didn't you change it? There are no answers, just memes, ridicule, rude remarks, and attention diversion. It's working worse and worse. People see. There is no longer action behind the buzzwords. In the same comments, phrases like, "You're just playing a role," and "Where were you when we were waiting for solutions, not tweets," are popping up. This isn't just an image crisis. It's a crisis of credibility. And what's worse for Trump is that he provoked it himself. His usual tactics, attack, laugh, jab, suddenly don't work anymore, because even his loyal listeners have begun to recognize the falsity. The most troubling thing for Trump isn't that he's being criticized by liberals or journalists. He's used to that. The real threat is silence from his own. When those who used to post his quotes on t-shirts now delete the posts and remain silent. This change is not an overnight disruption. It's an accumulation. People in his camp are tired of the disconnect between words and deeds. They saw him promise to drain the swamp, and then surround himself with millionaires, promised to fight for the working class, and then signed laws favoring corporations. He said he would be a strong leader, and now he responds to criticism with memes. The post about the transgender athlete was the symbol of this disconnect. People weren't just disillusioned with the topic, they were disillusioned with him. "You're repeating old jokes and it's not funny anymore," he said. "You're taking your eyes off the real issues again." The comments no longer sound like a chorus of support. They sound tired. Former fans confess, "I don't want to vote for Biden, but I'm not sure I want to see Trump again." And this most dangerous state is not rage, but apathy. Because it means charisma no longer works. The charm of leadership is gone. If MAGA used to be a movement, now it's starting to fall apart into fragments. And all because whoever was at the head has forgotten the main thing. Leadership is not about shouting the loudest. It is about being the first to bear responsibility. At the heart of every mass movement is faith. Faith in a person, in his ideas, in his principles. MAGA was built on the image of a strong, direct, non-political leader. Trump skillfully marketed himself as someone who is not like everyone else. But now that formula is no longer working, because people are starting to see how he has become exactly like everyone else, only louder and rougher. He no longer looks like an outsider fighting the system. He's become the system himself. His style is not new, but scorched old, mocking, devaluing, distracting. And when there is no more action underneath, it becomes just a show with no substance. His aggression used to be read as strength. Now it's read as a defensive reaction. He doesn't attack, he fights back. He doesn't attack, he pushes back. His speeches have become empty, about the same thing. And most importantly, predictable. And that's death to a populist. And when even the core of MAGA starts writing, "We're tired. You're repeating yourself. We need someone with things to do, not witticisms," it's a wake-up call, because it's not an external attack. It's an internal decay. No amount of rhetoric will save someone who is no longer credible. Not because he's been betrayed, it's because he betrayed the image he created. He wanted to be the voice of the people. He became an echo of his own shadow. Every era ends. The only question is how it will be remembered. Donald Trump began as a force that could not be ignored. He spoke loudly, confidently, shattered political boundaries, seemed dangerous to the establishment and inspiring to millions. He was an impulse, not a system, an emotion, not an apparatus. But impulse has a term. Emotion fades, and trust fades with it, if there is nothing behind it. And today, more and more people are wondering, what's left of Trump but words? He's still the center of attention. He draws crowds. His name is recognizable. But behind all that vitriol is a tired déjà vu, predictability, and even former supporters no longer speak with fire in their voices. They speak with doubt, with regret, with a sense that it wasn't a journey, but a flash. He could have remained a legend, but he chose to remain an echo. And it shows in every new performance, every belated meme, every empty joke. He offered nothing new. No strategy, no way out, no peace. Just resentment, repetition, and a shadow of past greatness. You've been watching the Forgotten Roads channel. We don't talk about slogans, we talk about what's behind them. If you've watched to the end, put a like, subscribe, and write in the comments, "We need honesty," because the future starts where the masks end.